A sign the global chip shortage could be hitting Apple harder than the company previously indicated. Sources tell Nikkei Apple's cut back sharply on iPad production to allocate more chips to the phone, and that it produced 50% fewer iPads than planned over the last 2 months. Meanwhile, you got reports that Nintendo Switch production down 20. Jim, although the bright side is Toyota telling LeBeau this morning on Squawk that he thinks October was the low of the crunch.
Well, I wish that were the case. After speaking with Secretary Raimondo from Commerce, I don't feel that way. I think that there's some real issues still. On semiconductor, which is a principal player in autos, would agree. We're nowhere near. Global Foundries, which is a good company, came public last week to no fanfare whatsoever, up very big, also would agree with that. So I just think that the most important story about Apple this morning was actually Katie Huberty's story about how the service is still doing very, very well. And that's, cloud service. Look, I think that we hit Apple. The market looked at Apple and decided that there is no perishable. And now that's the term that Tim Cook used on the call. Perishable being that you either bought them or you didn't. And I have a Mac 13, and I have a Mac Pro and I have Mac 13, the Apple 13. And I got to tell you, you would wait for these. I don't know about perishable, David, because I think people give presents if they have them. And so therefore, maybe they give something else. But these are precious. These two products are precious. And I think they matter a great deal.
But the larger issue, again, is that Apple, even Apple, has to manage supply chain problems.
No one's immune.
And no company is immune to this at this point. Obviously, we talk about the auto companies. You do wonder about the suppliers and whether they're going to face margin pressures from it getting pushed down on them from the likes of a GM, for example.
Well, who can, DuPont, I know, was a very convoluted, very difficult breakdown, break up, whatever you want to call it. But a lot of what they did was move away from the most cyclical part of autos because they're worried about supply chain. They were able to raise price and to go back to EV, because EV is what On Semiconductor said, the reason why you buy a new car. I wish people were more focused on, if only just because Hassan Okori has put together a company that's uniquely understands the auto situation. Autos being the industry that's hurt the worst. But remember, 75% of the workers are dependent upon Taiwan 7. Think about that. 75% of our jobs in auto, Taiwan.
Well, that's exactly the point that Raimondo made to you. I think she used the word scary when you think about the reliance of the United States on Asian-made chips. Take a listen.
I thought I had a lot of pressure before coming into this interview, but now you're doubling down on the pressure. Look, we have to work with our allies. It takes a year and a half to build a new fab, soup to nuts. But there are ways that we're looking into to boost production in certain areas, and we are very focused on that. None of which is a substitute for passing the CHIPS Act as fast as possible and letting us get to work to really boost supply here in America.
I'm kind of surprised you're not a little more constructive after NXP raises guidance a little bit today, Toyota, Ford, VW.
I can't be, because in the end, I've got this Commerce Secretary saying, listen, we've got a year and a half to build. That bill's obviously locked in Congress. There's nothing coming out of Congress. I find that worrisome. But I also think that the demand for everything involving ADAS, EV, the demand is so up that there literally is. You've got places working 24/7. It just doesn't matter because there's just not that many foundries. And the places we do have them are all high-performance chips, which is cloud. It doesn't really help the situation. We need full-feature chips. Biggest maker of full-feature chips that we can rely on is Global Foundries. Now, that is an American company, but it's owned by Asian interests. I do think that Global Foundries, Tom Caulfield, is the man of the hour because he can tell us how much they can really put in. They want to work directly, say, with Ford, Global Foundries. Ford needs them, Ford being so much EV. It's overwhelming. The supply chain is overwhelming. I mean, go listen to DuPont. I mean, DuPont is trying desperately to get it so that there are more chips. Anyone who's involved with chips, it just holds the whole system. The ports and the chips, David, are really what is, frankly,
but it's everything,
waylaying our whole economy.
Everything.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.